1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
It's Heartbeat.
It's a fabulous show.
Alaska.
Hi, Heartbeat Alaska.
It's Heartbeat. Alaska.
Pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Aleut, the Indian and the Eskimo. It's the Aleut, the Indian and the Eskimo.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska Native News and Native Information. I'm Jeannie Green. Today we present one of my dream stories. It's a story of whaling in Barrow, Alaska. We've all heard of it. People that go out on the ice in these umiaks and capture whales, big, huge bowhead whales. Heartbeat Alaska was there this past whaling season. And we witnessed not only the capturing of a whale, but people working together as they have for centuries. It's a wonderful show. Thank you for joining me. And I'll be back with Barrow, Alaska, right after this.
Hello from the Amities of Barrow, Alaska. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie.
Heartbeat Alaska is pleased to announce a brand new official hotel. We're brought to you now by Millennium Alaskan Hotel, the official hotel of Heartbeat Alaska. And
Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Frontier Flying Service. Thank you, Frontier, for getting Heartbeat Alaska airborne.
Heartbeat Alaska is brought to you in part by Brown's Electric Lighting Gallery. Thank you, Brown's Electric, for your generous support of Heartbeat Alaska. Heartbeat Alaska is made possible by Kupik Carlisle Transportation, your full-service transportation and logistics company.
we head out now to the icy shores of the Chukchi Sea, where residents of Barrow, Alaska are pulling in a 60-ton whale.
Welcome to the coffee mobile.
We need help over here. We need help to pull it up.
It's Sunday morning, June 1st at 11 a.m. in Barrow, Alaska. VHF signals carry the urgent message from a whaling crew out on the ice.
We need help over here. We need help to pull it up. Come on.
Straight down from UIC parent office.
And we need help. We need lots of help.
Okay, we got two guys heading down there. And also,
Like cell phones in a city, residents here in Barrow rely upon the VHF as a source of communication. By now, half the town knows that one of the whaling captains has caught a whale and needs as many hands as possible to help pull it up on the ice. The whaling crew's flag has been perched on the tallest piece of ice, signifying a successful hunt and marking the location of the harvest site. As soon as news hits town, a smaller flag is put on the rooftop of the captain's house, letting all those in town know that a whale has been caught and whose crew caught it. One by one, people show up at the site on snow machines and by whatever means necessary, ready to work and work hard.
Go!
The whale, a 56-foot female bowhead whale, will take a while to get up on the ice and even longer to butcher. Captain of the crew, Henry Kignik, has his work cut out for him. Henry will have to determine how this whale will be brought up on the ice, especially with as few people as there are present. Another block and tackle is hooked up. This should make pulling the whale up on the ice a little easier. The bowhead whale can often weigh in excess of 60 tons, and that requires a sturdy piece of ice that will support that much weight. Fortunately, the captain has chosen a sturdy piece of ice. It's now just a battle of physically getting the whale up on the ice. Snow machines are added to the mix, along with a few new recruits. Inch by inch, the whale slowly comes out of the icy waters. Keep in mind that what's showing at the present is only about a quarter of the whale.
They keep us busy all night. You've seen it out there. Here it was. They never stop. Sometimes they get tired, you know. It's a lot of work. Sometimes they take a nap out there when they get a little too tired, you know. It's get to you, but you know, you gotta be strong to do the job. You gotta finish the job. No matter what we do, I had to thank the Lord for giving us strength. Our provider always provides what we need the most, and we share it with the people.
The decision has been made to start cutting up the beach part of the bowhead, harvesting what's available, and lightening their load for their next attempt at pulling the whale up on the ice.
There, you can reach that.
The whale's skin and blubber, or muktuk, as it's known in the Inupiat language, are cut into long, strip-like portions that are easy to carry, or should I say drag.
More hooks.
Long hooks are inserted into the muktuk, allowing the hookers to pull on the muktuk so that cutting the blubber away from the body of the whale can be done much easier.
Come on, grab a hold of the rope. Come on, guys.
In this case, there is only enough room on the ice for a couple of cutters. The whale will need to be pulled up further on the ice before several cutters can participate.
That way.
When the muktuk is cut away from the whale, it is dragged to a different part of the ice where others load it into sleds to be hauled to the shore. As you can see, it takes the cooperation of many to make such a feat possible. Many of the people here today are from Barrow's different whaling crews or members of the captain's family. Others are residents who have chosen to take time away from their busy lives to help Henry and his crew. Regardless of their relations, each one of these people will be rewarded for their hard work with a share of muktuk and meat. It takes so much patience, hard work, and dedication to take part in the harvest of a whale that just getting the task done is reason to celebrate, and so they do. When a crew catches their first whale, it's divided amongst all the 51 whaling crews of Barrow. The whaling captain gets his portion, and then each crew in Barrow gets a portion of that whale. All those who help with the harvest get a portion of the whale, and yet another portion goes to serving the community in what is known as Nageak.
Untitled means come on over and have some fresh muktuk. That's how I learned it, and that's how they still refer to it today, Untitled.
Nageak is just one of the feasts they celebrate during whaling season. Another feast is known as the Eskimo picnic, or Apawalti.
It's a tradition that we follow through and bringing the whaling boat on shore after a successful season, and we put out a little feed for the community members, whoever comes down. We serve them our delicacy, our mikigak, and it's an event that occurs during this time of the year, this time of the season after a successful hunt. The men coming back on shore.
From a mile away, the crew pushes their flag-bearing umiak from the icy waters of the Chukchi Sea to the shore, where they are greeted by their community. After a prayer has been given, Mikiak is served to those who brave the wind and cold to be part of this joyous occasion.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Barrow. I'd like to welcome you to Barrow. Here's the first apawalti, and this is what you call mikiak. It's muktuk and meat cut up and rendered. So, it's very delicious. Delicious.
Very delicious.
So I'm serving my second round here. Oh. Second round.
Yeah. Hello. I'm Mikiak. I'm Barrow. Thank you.
Alaska.
Alaska. Oh.
Yes.
This is Bowhead part, the blubber, and some meat. Right here. And we call this fermented whale. Mikiak.
When the muktuk and meat are harvested, much of it is placed in buckets and soaked in the blood of the whale. It is stirred 2 to 3 times a day for a week or more until the meat and muktuk have become fermented. It is considered a delicacy and is extremely popular amongst the Inupiat people.
He's just got to eating Mikiak. He's active. One of these guys. He had one of these kind. He's all active. Oh no. Yeah, I know.
This apawalti is being held in honor of Harry Brower Jr. and his crew, the Little Kupak crew, who have already caught the whale for the season. For Harry, it's time to retire the umiak and start getting ready for Nulakatak, the blanket toss, which is another celebration these people have during the summer.
1, easy, 2, 3, go!
Coming together for a feast is the way Inupiat people celebrate life, a reminder to be thankful for what they have and appreciate what they have been taught by their elders about life in the frozen land. Agviqsiugnikun. Each week, Heartbeat Alaska brings you great stories from all over the state. And we couldn't do it without the generous support of Frontier Flying Service. Frontier gets our camera crews where they need to go. So whenever you see a Frontier plane, give them a wave.
Say hi from Nuxet.
You might just be on Heartbeat Alaska.
Frontier Flying Service, covering Alaska for over 50 years.
From the moment you enter the doorway at the Millennium Hotel, another world surrounds you. It's a world of friendly faces and cordial service. It's a place of great taste and great tastes. The Millennium Hotel is a haven of relaxation and personal restoration, of attentive service and attention to details. But at the end of the day, we won't read you a bedtime story. Although, would you be surprised if we did?
Welcome back. Butchering a Whale. It's an event that takes place a few times every year in Barrow, Alaska. It's an event that demonstrates the same thing that these very people and their ancestors have done for thousands of years. It's an event that brings a community together. It not only fills up the freezer, but it carries on a tradition of working together. It is the most northern community in the United States. Although this Alaskan community sits at the top of the state, it has come to be known as the top of the world. To the indigenous people who have dwelled here since time immemorial, the area is known as Ukbiavik. The place where owls are hunted. To the rest of the world, the area is known as Barrow, named after Sir John Barrow, the second Secretary of the British Admiralty. Traditionally an Inupiat Eskimo village, Barrow has grown in size over the years and is now home for over 4,400 people, with approximately 64% of the population being Alaska Native or part Native. Located on the shores of the Chukchi Sea, Barrow is the economic center of the North Slope Borough. The economy of Barrow is largely dependent upon tax revenues from the North Slope oil fields. Many residents are employed by the North Slope Borough and the many businesses that provide support services to oil field operations. Being located on the Chukchi Sea has both its benefits and downfalls. Fish, walrus, seal, birds, and whales are easily accessible to these Inupiat people. But at the same time, the fierce winds and pounding waves of the Chukchi Sea take their toll on this coastal community.
All these are sandbags from last fall. Every fall, all the waves get really big and start taking out the road here and the beach, and North Slope Borough put in these sandbags to help the erosion problem that's been going on in Barrow for the past, ever since I can remember. There used to be a real big hill right here where I used to go sledding when I was a little kid. And they used to go all the way to the water where the ice is. The beach used to go out about another 50 feet, 75 feet maybe. But every year the waves get really big and take out the roads, start taking out the coastline. They got to move those houses every about 8 to 10 years.
This road's currently closed, right?
Yeah, this road's currently closed, unless you got a good 4x.
Even with the erosion problem that is not exclusively here in Barrow, but is also prevalent in many of the coastal villages along the Chukchi and Bering Seas. The people here are able to adapt to the changes that occur in Barrow, including the influx of visitors who come here each year. During the summer, tourism provides a large boost to the economy as sightseers come from thousands of miles to get a taste of life in the far north and catch a glimpse of the midnight sun. In fact, the Inupiat Heritage Center in Barrow offers the experience of a lifetime for hundreds of tourists each year. Inside the center, you will find artifacts that date back as far as 500 AD. Relics that were once tools for everyday life and songs and dances that are still very much a part of the life for these Inupiat people today. These songs and dances are stories and lessons that have been passed down from generation to generation and continue to be passed on today. Within the movements of these dances, stories are being told. Some songs tell the lessons learned about sharing and working together. Each song and dance has a meaning that in one way or another is directly related to the Inupiat way of life.
This game right here is called the Inupiat, and long ago, especially in the sod homes, we play this game. We would anchor one end of the game onto the floor and attach the other one onto the roof. And also long ago, this piece of bone was very small. Also had a very small pinhole. Also, our spears had a very sharp piece of bone of ivory. The object of the game is to get your spear into the hole first.
At the Inupiat Heritage Center, visitors also learn about different native games like this one.
You guys gotta go again. You gotta make it a little longer than that. You got it twice in a row.
Again.
One more time.
Again, Dominic.
You can do it 3 times.
Dominic.
Or visitors can learn about the traditional clothing of the Inupiat people, what kind of animal fur is used, where the animal is hunted, and how the furs are sewn into clothing. It's a brief but informative visit that opens up the eyes of many visiting tourists, giving them a little insight to the power and pride of the Inupiat way of life. Lifelong resident Lloyd Leavitt explains.
Barrow is a very close-knit community. That much I know about Barrow. I was born and raised right here in Barrow. And a lot of it is based on unity. Whenever we do our hunting traditions and wherever we go, it's based all on unity. Without unity, we really can't succeed by ourselves. That's what I believe in.
It's a belief that is instilled in the Inupiat people from birth, the glue that bonds them together. Traditionally, when a problem or issue would arise within a village, the elders would get together and find a solution to the problem. It is this kind of unity and ability to work together that is still practiced today that deserves the respect of cultures from around the world. You see it in everyday life around these parts. Family members and friends helping out when an extra hand is needed. You especially see it when it comes to whaling season. Pulling a whale up onto the ice is no easy chore. It takes a great deal of manpower and tremendous support from the shore. A large amount of responsibility belongs to the wife of the captain's family, and the families of crew members as well. When news of a crew getting a whale hits town, the captain's wife gets busy. Preparation for Narikai and the Apawauti have begun.
We're all already thinking, okay, you need to have some flour for the donuts. You need to think about the crew that's bringing it in. They're going to be hungry. So main thing is you make some soup something they can eat when they get to shore or down there. And you also think about those who help towing and those who help cut up. Up here, I worry about, fruit that's going to be served, as well as getting the pots and the stoves ready, and how well you get your house ready. You could cover it up if you want, because there'll be a lot of traffic in and out, and generally you can cover it with cardboard for the next few days.
Back in the ice, the people are slowly but surely making progress with the whale. More of the community has come out to help get this huge bowhead up on the ice, but now concerns are focused on the west wind.
When the wind changes, west wind, that's when the ice starts coming in. Right now we want to try and get east winds, or let the wind pick up stronger so it can blow away.
The huge ice floe that has been drifting by them for the past few hours has changed its course and is now quickly making its way towards the whalers.
I mean, just one big floating ice. It looks like about 8-10 miles long, about 5 miles wide. It's just one big massive ice floe.
Many of the volunteers start packing things up and moving them back onto stronger ice. These types of situations are common when you live in the far north, situations that require the wisdom of the elders. They're the ones who have done this for decades and have seen more in their lifetime than we could possibly imagine. The elders are books of knowledge that are only open to their people. They have seen the ice threaten their catches before. They have seen the ice come in and take the whale back into the sea with it. With the knowledge and experiences of these elders, the whale may be saved.
Heavenly Father, we ask you right now to keep that ice, even though it looks threatening, to keep its distance until we are done.
Desperate attempts are made to get this whale up on the ice before the swiftly approaching ice pack takes the whale under. We don't see it here, but the moment occurred when the decision was made to cut the whale in half. After securing the majority of the whale that was still in the water to the ice they were on, they quickly cut the whale in half.
While we were butchering the whale, ice come in. Man, it was calm, very calm out there. When the captain told us that we had to cut it in half, so we had no choice. We left the part of the head, so if the weather shifted and if there's an opening, they're gonna go back down there and do the same thing again, cut it all up. We gotta make sure everybody gets their whole share.
Part of life growing up here. A lot of times we lose the whole whale. I'm glad they were alert.
By cutting the whale in half, these whalers were able to assure that at least part of this bowhead would be harvested. They would now have to wait for the lead to open and the ice pack to move away from the whale before any more attempts could be made to get the whale up on the ice. With most of the whale still in the sea, the cutters quickly get back to the butchering. When they are through with this whale, the only thing that will be left is the head bone and the vertebrae. They will use almost every part of the whale.
This stuff is liver membrane from a bowhead whale.
In fact, the youngest drum maker in Barrow, 17-year-old Edgar Skin, uses part of the whale to make drums for his dance group, the Barrow Dancers. It's a timeless tradition that Edgar has turned into a hobby. Not only is Edgar following in the steps of his ancestors, but he is also helping to assure that the art of drum making will never perish from his people. It's easy to see that he takes his work seriously, spending the time to do it right.
First, I'm going to see if there's any holes. There's a hole right there. You could patch it with a ptarmigan stomach, our state bird, blue ptarmigan.
This is the time-consuming part of working with the liver membrane, separating the liver from the membrane. When it comes to drum making, patience is a virtue. Edgar also steams and bends the wood that will become the frame of the drum. From the beginning to the end, Edgar forms and shapes the Barrow Dance Group's drums so that they sound and look alike. Interestingly, every part of these drums comes from nature. The wood frames from the trees and the membrane from the whale. Even the thread or sinew comes from nature, from one of the animals that makes up the Inupiat diet.
Traditionally, we get it off of the tendons from a tutu, a caribou, from the shoulder and the legs and back of the legs. And then we split it, braid it. Okay, I'm about to put this string around in this groove, and that the string will be what keeps the cover on and tight. And as I'm pulling it, as I go, just keep making it tighter. It tightens this part so you can get the right sound.
It didn't take Edgar long to put the head of the drum on, turning and tightening the head so that it matches the sound of the other drums he has made. When he is satisfied with the tension of the drum head, Edgar ties off the sinew and begins trimming the excess membrane so that the drum will look as good as it sounds. It's impressive to witness one of these drums being made, the craftsmanship, patience, and attention to detail. But what's even more impressive is that at one point, an adult or an elder took the time to teach the ways of their people to Edgar, so that this knowledge would never get lost in the pages of time.
If you visit Barrow in the summertime, it can be hard to sleep with that 24-hour sunshine. So, the King Eider, Barrow's newest hotel, does everything to make your stay quiet, relaxing, and worry-free. Don't worry about a cab. The King Eider is a short walk from the airport. Need to get around town? No problem. The King Eider rents cars. Want a room with a kitchenette? The King Eider's got them. Smoke-free, alcohol-free. It's the hotel so clean, they ask you to take your shoes off when you come in the door. The King Eider Inn, Barrow, Alaska.
The residents of Barrow, Alaska live in two worlds. They live in the ways that their ancestors have taught them, yet they must adapt to modern times like we all have to. They're doing it a very unique way, as is demonstrated by this fabulous book written for the youth.
For the youth of Barrow, learning the ways of the Inupiat people starts at birth. In most of the homes, the Inupiat language is spoken regularly. But in the school system, most of the cultural values get lost in the Western education. In fact, most of the youth of Barrow today do not speak their native language fluently, but can understand much of it. On the ice, however, you will hear the Inupiat language often. To outsiders, the Inupiat language may seem complex, but in reality, it is a language that simplifies everything. One Inupiat word can often sum up an entire English sentence. And when you're on the ice pulling up a whale, efficient communication is extremely important. The North Slope Borough School District has recognized the need for the youth to understand and learn their language, especially those who partake in the subsistence lifestyle, and have created a book that not only teaches the youth about subsistence terms and local ocean currents, but does it in both the English and Inupiat languages.
It's called Agviqsiugnikun. And the concept was developed by Jenna Hacharik, who is the bilingual coordinator for the district. And she came to me wanting the students to know wind directions, current directions, weather terminology, all in Inupiat. So from her ideas, I then sat down and came up with images, and we kind of bounced ideas back and forth off of each other. And what we came up with was Inupiat names for the wind directions and current directions, directional terminology, the parts of the harpoon, all in Inupiat. Terminology for the umiak, for the skin boat. Terminology for the Inupiat terminology for the different roles of the crew members, and also of the whale distribution in the communities, you know, which parts of the whale are distributed to whom. And there's also a section for the student to document the lead conditions out on the ice. And this is to, again, bring in their writing skills and their critical thinking skills. There's also a chart for whale observation, documenting what types of whales they're seeing throughout the day. This book was really developed because we want to encourage our young people to go out and participate in cultural activities such as whaling, and not have them be punished because of their absence from the classroom. Now, that's not saying that just because they're absent that they're not learning anything. I mean, the kinds of things that they're learning out on the ice are tremendous in terms of you know, carrying on the tradition of whaling. There's also a section for the students to write down the stories that they're here, because when you're out on the ice, you're with more experienced whalers who have just some incredible stories to share. And so this is a way for them to use their writing skills and to also, you know, record these stories so they can be remembered and passed on.
One particular story that belongs to a whaling captain, Jonathan Aiken Sr., teaches all those who hear it about the power of prayer. It seems that Mr. Aiken and another hunter were out in their umiak one season, perched upon a piece of ice hunting walrus. A lone walrus appeared in front of them, lazily floating by, resting. The other hunter raised his gun, but Jonathan, feeling uneasy about this walrus all by itself, asked the other hunter not to shoot. By that time, the other man had already pulled the trigger, delivering a fatal shot to the walrus. Before the two men could even get out of their umiak, the piece of ice they were sitting on was surrounded by a herd of angry walrus. As the walrus approached the hunters, threatening their well-being, the men shot the beast until they reached the last of their ammunition.
Ammo was around 5 shots left. They can shoot him no more. But and I sit on the boat, on top of the boat, from the boat, and I pray, I need help. I need help. but in maybe 15 minutes, the killer whales was coming. One was with a big walrus, big killer whale. He bite it and go up the water. I see the big walrus. But some of them was little ones, 4 of them. But around us it's bloody, front of us is bloody, all over. And no more walrus.
What happened next is nothing less than a miracle. Testimony to the connections that these Inupiat people have with their surroundings and with their creator. After the killer whales had chased off the walrus and killed many of the others, the whales then surrounded Jonathan's umiak and guided the 2 hunters safely away from the ice.
And one killer here was on the front, and I go. And the 2 was in the back, and the 2 was on the side of us. And nobody can touch us yet. Nobody can do it. The walrus can do it. And we go up fast. I go faster and faster. They were still on the front side and the back.
The killer whales steer the umiak and the hunters towards an approaching boat. As the boats get closer, the whales veer from their sentry positions and disappear into the Chukchi Sea. Edgar Itta recalls a story about a whaling crew and the determination and patience of one elder man.
I believe the man's name years and years ago was named Igasak, I believe. Anyway, one of the great old-time whalers from 2-3 generations ago. Anyway, he said that they were not too many whales were running. It was that time of the year. Anyway, they were out there and had been out there for quite a while. But the crew spotted a whale way, way off to the west. They could just see the spout. Could just barely see the whale. And it takes quite a while for the whales to get there to you. But anyway, that old man went up to the front of the boat and just started sitting there. He just sat there, and people kind of forgot what was going on. They'd keep an eye for the whale, but the whale, they couldn't see it. He said that they waited and waited, and then all of a sudden the rest of the crew heard an explosion, and when they went to go try to help him, he was already being dragged out on the boat. And what he had done was just waited there, and the whale did come up right in front of him. And he took his time and threw his darting gun, which has the harpoon with the float and the line. And once the line was okay, he just grabbed onto the line and had the whale drag him on out, and he held on to the float line as long as it was away from the whale, and he just kept being dragged on out there. And it wasn't too much further, and he stopped with the whale. I mean, he stopped, the boat stopped. He still had the rope. And by that time, you know, people signal each other up and down the coast back then by climbing on ridges, waving at people. It took a while, but another crew came and helped them out and picked up the guys. And that guy had given it a hard shot, just the way that he knew. And he knew he had enough confidence in his skill to know that if he could just hold on a while longer, that he wouldn't lose that whale. That's how precious the whales were to them. That and just one man can actually catch a whale, but the other part of the thing was that another crew had to come and help, which is always a part of our culture, that you help each other naturally. It's not your whale, it's everybody's whale.
That belief still holds true today. As you can see for yourself, members of the community still come together to share in the glory of whaling. As for this whale, well, the people are grateful for what they were allowed to get, but the passing ice floe has decided to stay for a while. And that means that these whalers will have to return when the lead goes out. When the gear has been packed away and the area picked up, the tired people return to the shores of Barrow, where the captain begins dividing the meat and muktuk up into portions.
This is only about a quarter of the whale. The rest of it's in the water. They're going to separate all this. Most of this is oti. They put all the oti in their ice cellars so they could serve at the festivals, Thanksgiving, Christmas, our blanket toss, nalukatap. We call this niki. And all this is niki meat, and this is the tail. I mean, we call it akikak. This is a muktuk. All this is muktuk.
Right there, that running right there.
As the captain starts to delegate portions, the crew's flag is brought in from the ice and a hauler goes out across the shore.
Get tired. Correction, we need mixing.
Exhausted and hungry, Captain Henry Kignik is relieved of duty by his wife, Wonita, who has no problem getting these tired workers back into high gear.
Right there, those ones right there. He's got the mark right here already, so you guys have to take those ones that way. How many?
Hey, giving it out to all those guys who've been working out there all night. That's what we do for a living. Now, it's a hard work, no matter what we go through. How we do is just divide it. Make sure everybody get all the share.
At the end of it all, people's names are called, and they choose which pile of muktuk and meat they want by standing next to it. As the night winds down, Henry and his family load their catch into the truck and prepare to call it a day, waiting patiently until the lead goes out and the remaining whale can be harvested. A group of men head out on snow machines to check on the whale and the ice conditions. Before they reach the spot where the hard-packed shore ice meets the newer ice, they stop and reevaluate the situation.
Watch the ice once in a while. And on some parts like this where you don't feel safe, just stop and check it out for a little while.
Strong current, pushes all the ice in.
There's a real strong current off of Barrow. Pushes all the ice in.
Right at the point, there's two main currents. One that comes this way on the land and the other current that comes from this side. And then it just makes a big whirlpool out there and makes strong current.
Yeah. The ice came in. Looked like there's some pressure ridge building around here. The ice is piling up.
Yep.
Yeah, this is as far as I'll go.
It's this wisdom and knowledge of the land and sea that has been instilled in these young men by their elders that tells them it is not safe to go beyond this point. The shifting ice and building pressure ridge means a great potential for potholes and other dangers. For now, the ice has won the battle, but tomorrow is a brand new day.
Don Crombie's philosophy is, there's always room for one more. At the dinner table, in the car, in her heart. The Crombies have 6 children, 5 of them adopted. 6 children now have a mom, a dad, brothers and sisters. The Crombies made room for 6. Can you find room in your heart for one? Adopt a kid. Or 2. And watch them grow with love.
Now that the whale is in, the people of Barrow celebrate, and celebrate they do. It's a huge event for them. Join me now as we celebrate the capturing and butchering of a whale with the people of Agviqsiugnikun. The following morning, crews have headed back out to the whaling site. The ice has shifted, and this small group of whalers is going to try and bring the rest of the whale up on the ice pack.
Ready?
But as unpredictable as nature is, the west winds kick up and force the ice flow back towards the shore, slowly but surely burying the whale again.
Where's the hook? We need a hook.
With what little time they had, these people managed to get a great deal of muktuk off the whale before the ice stopped all progress. Since the whale belongs to the captain, he or his wife must be called out to the site so that the muktuk can be divided up between those who harvested the whale today.
Maybe go get those other 2 this way. Yeah, make a roll like that. Yeah, there you go, like that. Second one more.
With such a small group present, the shares will be generous.
Oliver! Agviqsiugnikun. Agviqsiugnikun. Agviqsiugnikun right here. You're in charge.
Right here. Agviqsiugnikun. How many Agviqsiugnikus we have? 1, 2.
Let's get the slips, huh?
These all ours, right?
These all ours, yeah.
While the action is settling down on the ice, it's just beginning for Henry Kignik and his family.
We're gonna be cutting and serving today. Look like we got all my aunties coming in.
What we're doing here is we're cooking all the muktuks, making unalik for serving. We'll be serving the community tonight, or when we're ready. Everybody come and get a good meal for their bellies. It's very delicious, and this is a serving for tonight that we'll be doing. And after we're done with serving with all this, comes next is the Inupiat Eskimo picnic, which will be served making up. But here, this is right when they're done with cutting up the whale, they serve right away when we're ready. And it's going to be a good meal. Come on, come on.
It's been said, it takes a village to raise a child. Truth be known, it takes a village working together to survive in the nation's northernmost community. It's the afternoon of June 2nd, 2003. To the people of the far north, it's another day to hunt. Another day to feast, another day to carry on the Inupiat way of life like they did the year before, and the year before that, 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 and the year before that. I'd like to thank the native village of Barrow for making this program possible, and I'd like to thank you for joining us once again. I'm Jeannie Green for all of us here. God bless you. Join us again next week for more Heartbeat Alaska.
To purchase a VHS copy of this program, have your credit card number ready and call area code 907-563-7440 or mail $20 check or money order to Jeannie Green Productions, 6216 Old Seward Highway, Anchorage, Alaska 99518. Ask for the program number listed below.